Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to FinanceMalta's 18th annual conference. Welcome back, and I'm just going to, as we're waiting for people to come in from outside and take a seat, I'm just going to fill you in a couple of details. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been told to let you know that on that QR code on the back of your badge, if you just take your badge, turn it over, you've got a QR code on the back there, you can also book your CPE hours. So you can use that tool to take that forward. Also on that app that you will get to from that QR code, you also have the agenda. You also have all the information about the speakers and everything that's going to happen this afternoon and, of course, tomorrow as well. And ladies and gentlemen, just as I said at the very beginning, this event provides the most incredible opportunity to network with your peers. And possibly one of the very few opportunities that you're going to get to network with your peers. And after we leave here later on today, we have a networking event over at the Portomasso Suite. We're going to encourage you guys, come with us. Why am I telling you about this now? Because you might want to let your office know that you're not coming home. And just let whoever's at home know that they want to make sure that the dinner's a little bit later. So do that. Make sure that if you're going to let someone know that you're going to stay on for that networking drink, which is incredibly important, ladies and gentlemen, do let them know right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of 2 days, and this is the second half of our first day, and I am so excited because coming up this afternoon, I have 2 incredible fireside conversations for you, and also here at the front, my colleague John Malia, I'm going to call you John because John and I have been turning up at conferences quite regularly together, is also going to be leading a spotlight session a little bit later on. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Lord Ed Vaizey, member of the House of Lords, broadcaster, business advisor, to join Dimitrios Litsikansky, Director of Profile Software, for an exciting fireside chat titled Rethinking Scale, a Small Nation's Role in a Digitally Driven Financial World. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a warm welcome.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Terry. It's wonderful to be here. This is my first visit to Malta. And the only thing I know about Malta is it has a fantastic hotel called the Hilton. Because I arrived here last night and I'm leaving tonight. What we're here to talk about is Malta's place in the financial ecosystem. Is small, beautiful. Does a small country like Malta, and I don't say that in a disparaging way, have an opportunity to punch far above its weight in the world of financial services? And does it have that opportunity because of the extraordinary changes that technology is bringing to financial services? And Dimitrios here works for Profile Software, a huge Greek financial services software company in more than 50 countries around the world, and doing a lot of work in Malta. Welcome.
Correct. Thanks a lot for that warm introductions, and thank you all for being here today. Malta is a beautiful country, but is also a very strong country, especially in innovation and banking. So I'm really glad to be here with you today.
It's great to have you here. I should have said, by the way, that I was the Minister for Technology under Prime Minister David Cameron, and I've taken a strong interest in financial services. I'm the chair of the parliamentary group on cryptocurrencies, for example, in the House of Lords. So I'm very interested in this space. And the UK itself positions itself as a hub for fintech and innovation. But tell us a bit, Dimitrios, about your experience of working in Malta. What are you seeing on the ground here that's beginning to make a difference?
What I see in Malta is how open this country is to innovation. It's fantastic because you have open-minded people, you have a culture that welcomes innovation, ready to adapt to change, which is something very, very crucial these days. You mentioned crypto, for example. When I first arrived in Malta back in 2018, it wanted to position itself as the blockchain country. A lot has changed since then, but one thing is for sure. Malta has the right mindset to play a pivotal role, not only within the country, but within EU. That's very important.
Yeah, exactly. I think the fact that Malta is a member of the EU is incredibly important. There are obviously small countries that make a huge impact around the world. Singapore is one, but countries in the EU like Estonia and Luxembourg known for its financial services, Estonia known for its weight in digital government. When I was in the British government, we actually looked to Estonia for guidance and leadership in how you provide digital government. But you've seen your business grow in Malta. Is Malta influencing, as it were, how financial services companies do business in Europe?
Absolutely. We do have a lot of clients here in Malta, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see how open they are to software, right? Because this is exactly what drives innovation. This is exactly what drives new revenue streams as well. And making a fantastic user experience for the end client, for the citizens out there that really want to have an easier access to their banking, easier access to their investments. They can really do things much, much faster. And it used to be scale, it used to be more about how many branches you had, for the likes of I won't mention specific bank names because I don't want to offend anyone. But anyway, think about big banks that are all around the world, maybe in Malta as well as a branch. These days, it's completely different. It's all about how software can make your life easier, can provide you with more tools, and it can give you intelligence rather than just presence.
I think that's really interesting because obviously you're quite right that the kind of physical bank and the physical structures of banks are very much becoming part of the past. It's still a kind of political issue if you debate this in the UK, whether or not we should keep cash and whether or not you should keep bank branches in individual towns and villages so that people can haul sacks of cash from their shop and deposit it in banks is still something that plays politically. But more and more, obviously, particularly younger generations, everything is done online. And one of the huge advantages of financial services, disruptors, if you like, new fintechs, is that they can build that structure from the get-go and they can outmaneuver, if I can put it that way, some of the older banks which are left with legacy systems as well as legacy physical infrastructure. How does Profile help companies like that get this competitive advantage?
Yep. So first of all, we offer industry-specific software. We specialize only in finance with cutting-edge innovation and technology. For example, Finuevo Suite is one of our digital banking solutions. So think about, you mentioned smaller size, and I think this is absolutely critical when we are talking about neobanks, challenger banks, greenfield projects that start from scratch, basically. And these teams, they can be like 15, 20, 30 people that can really set in motion an amazing vision, and we empower that vision with our software. Where we excel is our, boutique kind of approach into working with clients. So we help them not only with software, but bringing all this technology, as you mentioned, with working with multiple jurisdictions, 50 countries around the world, clients that we serve. We bring this experience and we actually help and guide these new projects into implementation. A very fast implementation, which is crucial in these days because you cannot really run 3 or 4 year transformation projects anymore. Why? Because by the time you deliver, maybe it's already outdated. So you need to have this agile approach.
So what kind of timescale are you talking about then? 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, we have delivered solutions in 3 to 4 months. In Greece, where we are headquartered, we have delivered solutions like that for systemic banks. We also deliver solutions here in Malta in this time frame. So it's all about not just delivering and waving your client goodbye, but also supporting them, because maybe new regulation comes in and you need to have a very fast change that it's implemented in a couple of weeks' time in order to meet the regulation deadlines. That's where we come in and we deliver with our experience in that.
Well, there are 2 points, I think, that stem from your answer there. I was really interested in the earlier panel with the expert on cyber talking about Malta introducing what is called a regulatory sandbox. In the UK, we were very proud of the fact that our financial regulator in the early 2010s introduced a regulatory sandbox for financial services companies. And I'm sure everyone in the room knows what a sandbox is, but broadly speaking, it allows companies that are introducing new and innovative financial products to test them with the regulator, to check that they can comply with existing regulation. But I think also, more importantly, that the regulator itself can potentially adapt and change its regulations to accommodate new technology. I think it's a really important principle that policymakers and regulators understand that new technologies are not going away. And it's a fool's errand to try and use your regulations to stop innovation. It's much better that your regulations flex with innovation. So is Malta a country, for example, and it obviously has to comply with the overall arching EU financial rules, does it have that opportunity, particularly as a small country where people can meet each other and operate very quickly, to flex its regulations to accommodate some of the new fintech companies that want to set up here?
Absolutely. I mean, size in this case is not a limitation, it's an advantage. Why? Because you can literally get the government, the regulators, the industry players, I mean the banks or the wealth or investment management firms, and the vendors such as ourselves to sit together on a table and discuss these changes. And these regulations need to enable change and enable value creation. Otherwise, you cannot have, especially on financial services, an approach that says move fast and break things.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You need though to move fast in a very well-structured and governed way. It's completely different mindset, but at the same time enabling change, not strangling it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is really important. I mean, that is a really fascinating point, because obviously financial services in so many ways are the pioneers of tech, but it has to be absolutely robust technology.
Absolutely.
Because at its heart lies individual customers' financial futures and assets, and if you put those at risk, you're playing with something fundamental. What I find so interesting with the financial services industry, for example, is that it's a pioneer, for example, in customer identification, combating fraud, all the kind of things that actually can spread across a whole range of other sectors. But the financial services sector has to be really robust to begin with, which is why, as it were, it's the kind of gold standard. Which leads me to the other great theme that was mentioned again in an earlier panel, and can't really not be mentioned when at least one person is gathered together, which is, of course, artificial intelligence. How is artificial intelligence impacting your company? How is it impacting fintech? And how can Malta take advantage of this incredible technology change that's happening?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that it's very hard to attend a conference where AI is not mentioned. So artificial intelligence is here already. It's not about the future, it's about the present. And what Profile Software has done is get on board really early, invest a lot of time and effort in building an infrastructure that can empower our products and services throughout the life cycle of all our systems. Let me give you a couple of meaningful use cases. So for example, we talk about conversational banking. What is that? So it's basically, instead of you looking at your mobile phone and trying to figure out where you can apply for a loan or where you can block your card and just shuffling around menu, you can just talk to a virtual assistant in a natural English, Greek, Maltese, whatever language, and AI can understand what you're saying, respond, give you actions. So it's not about only playing around with ChatGPT or other, assistants like that, but actually embedding this technology in financial services to do things much faster. And to give you another practical example, how we empower investment management firms. You can get so much insight as a relationship manager before you go into a meeting with a high net worth individual, one of your clients. So you can be absolutely prepared, know all the, the themes and the topics that you are going to discuss prior to that meeting, do also follow-up questions, so it's not like a static report anymore. You can have a conversation, you can get answers immediately within a very strict, framework, because you also need to have human in the loop. If you have an AI agent that goes out without any boundaries, then this is where you're risking to get, drifted away. So it's very important to have it within specific credit policy, for example, if you're talking about a loan application or anything that has to do with governance.
Yes, I like the idea of sort of AI going rogue so that I can just say to my bank app, give me more money. But what?
Well, if you're talking about banking and money, you definitely don't want to have AI going rogue. I mean, it's the ultimate nightmare scenario.
So the other thing that's come up at this conference is skills and talent. And again, Malta's a small country, but it has a talent pool. It's part of the European Union, so people can move pretty freely if they want to come and settle here. What have you seen in terms of the skills base here in Malta for financial services? Is that something that a country like Malta should really be leaning into?
Absolutely, and the last 7 years I keep coming back, visiting this beautiful country, and I see more and more talent coming to live and prosper in Malta. There are multiple reasons: beautiful weather, beautiful food, but it's not only about that. It's also about tech being a crucial role in this country and attracting these high-tech skills that can come from anywhere within the EU. And digital is all about exporting these services, not exporting your talent. Because in other countries, maybe you see people leaving the country going to more prosperous countries. So it has to be a balance. Digital is an enabler, and you can really go global when you really invest in your skills.
And what about Malta's place in the kind of financial regulation ecosystem? We've already talked a bit about financial regulation, the opportunity to be agile, but also the importance of being robust as you adapt your regulations to make sure things don't fall through the cracks. How important is it for a country like Malta to work perhaps with the bigger players? I mentioned the FCA in London. London is obviously still, despite Brexit, an important financial centre. Are those partnerships important for a small country?
Of course, they are critical. You need to build a network and an ecosystem, and especially with banks, this becomes more and more relevant these days. Why? Because we used to have banks that operated in silos, closed. Nobody knew what was going on, like a black box. And then you had all the fintechs that were kind of attacking, with quotes, of course, and they were two different worlds. Now you see them for the first time collaborating because banks need services from fintechs in order to accelerate their digital transformation. And of course, fintechs need the distribution channels. So this is where the partnership model is really crucial, especially with hubs like London or maybe Zurich or maybe other financial institutions. I'm a big fan and advocate of ecosystem building because this is where you unlock value.
So I guess in terms of everything that we've talked about, the fundamental point is that there's no reason in principle why you couldn't start a bank or a wealth management company here in Malta from scratch and go global, because the technology is here, the regulatory environment is here, the skills are here, size no longer matters when it comes to financial services.
Absolutely, and you're seeing already cases, Maltese companies growing and moving abroad, serving Europeans across the board. You're talking about a market that has around 400 million people instead of 400,000 Maltese. So the scale is much bigger. Digital is the enabler, and we are very proud as Profile Software to help these institutions to grow and set a base here. I was going through the list of EMIs, the electronic money institutions. Malta has more than 20 already registered, and another 15 submitting their license, going through this process of getting their license done. So this is a testament of how Malta is seen as a digital finance hub. Comparing to other countries, it's doing really well.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Thank you, Dimitris Litsakakis from Profile Software. A fascinating discussion about Malta's place in the financial ecosystem and comprehensive proof that size no longer matters.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So as an entrepreneur, the first thing I look at is, before I set up a company, is the country itself. Now Malta joined the European Union in 2004 and adopted the euro in 2008, which basically means that there is regulatory alignment, there is stability and market access to one of the world's biggest economic blocs. Secondly, the official language in Malta is Maltese and English. We all know that the financial sector is highly regulated, which makes it a true blessing to be able to read the legislation, to communicate with the authorities in English. Third point is actually the fiscal discipline. When I look at other countries in the European Union for the last 10 years or so, they're always trying to find, or they need always try to find new money to balance out the budget. This means, we all know what it means higher taxation or spending cuts. Now, luckily in Malta, we don't have that problem. The fourth item that I want to point out is, so Malta has a large expat international community, which makes it very easy to connect, to network, and make friends. Once we got licensed in 2016 by the MFSA, we passported our license to Belgium, which went quite smoothly, to be honest. The only issue that we encountered was we encountered that there is still some prejudice and misconceptions towards Malta. Now, instead of ignoring them, we reached out to the MFSA, we reached out to FinanceMalta, and we are trying to show the strong points of Malta and counter this prejudice. And you know what? We started inviting our Belgian partners to come and visit Malta. And when they came to Malta, we showed them around, we went to Gozo, and the result was always the same. They loved it. So definitely the Maltese are doing something right. I think the strong points of Malta, besides it being a very beautiful country, part of the EU, speaking English, is the people, are the Maltese themselves. They are very friendly, they are hospitable, they're warm, and that's why after 10 years, I'm not just working in Malta, I proudly call Malta my home.